All right, this is kind of like the penultimate. This is a hard question. Do you notice that it's x cubed,
I do.
but there's only two answers given? Does that concern you at all?
A little bit.
So
I would imagine that there'd be three.
Yeah, excellent. I'm glad you imagined that. Do you happen to know what the other answer is?
Could it be one?
No, it would say one.
Then
There's this rational root theorem
Yeah.
that says if you have, and there's also an imaginary root theorem, so this actually applies to the imaginary root. If you have an imaginary root, which we do, then I don't know what they would call it, the negative version is also a root. So what is the other root here that they haven't told us? It's positive 8i. And so we know that if these are the answers, it must have come from it must have come from that. Do you agree? I mean, specifically 0 equals that, but so they have there. Make sense? All right. The trick is to do this one first. It'll always, the nastiness will cancel out. So when you have two binomials, what's the acronym we use to multiply them together?
FOIL.
That's right. Very good, Noah. X times X.
X to the square.
X times negative 8i.
Negative 8x.
Negative x 8i. I don't know. You can call it negative 8ix too. Don't worry, it's gone right here. X times positive 8i
8xi.
plus x 8x. Yeah. You see how these are going to cancel? And then this one I think you might want to do in your graphing calculator because it's easy to screw up. But, and if you put your calculator in imaginary mode, it'll do it for you. But 8i times negative 8i, remember you can multiply things in any order you want. So you can consider that 8 times negative 8 times I times I. So it's negative 64 I squared. But do you know what I squared is?
Like 1 squared, maybe?
Yeah, it's actually negative 1. That's the definition of I. I is the square root of negative 1, which doesn't make sense, but that's what makes it imaginary. And so look, this is actually 64.
Because the negative 1 kind of just disappears after.
No, because negative 1 times negative 64 is positive 64. Good question. Okay. So now we're at this spot where that gives us 0. So our blue could be I don't want to write an equal sign there. So our blue is just x squared plus 64. And now we're left to multiply that by x minus 3. So what do you think we got to do again?
We have to FOIL.
We got to FOIL again. What's x times x squared?
X to the power of 3. X cubed.
Very good. Outside, x times 64.
64x.
I'm going to break a little foiling rules here. We're going to go phi o. Because, look, we want to write these in descending order. So let's go inside first.
Okay.
What's negative 3 times x squared?
Negative 3x squared.
It's the best we can do. All I did was change these orders. That's okay, just so you know. Otherwise, we could have just reordered them. All right, what's outside? X times 64. You already told me that was 64x. And then finally, negative 3 times 64. I think that's negative 132. 32? 92? 92.
Yeah.
92. 92. Still better than math of me. Just got to get your organizational skills together. And that's going to be your answer. Got it?
Yeah.
Boom.
Pretty easy.